Hello and welcome to Pearls of Parmadice. My name is Courtney and I'm coming to you from Parma, Ohio, where I live with my husband, Mason, and all of our yarn. Today is Friday, February 13th. It's Friday the 13th. And thanks for joining me. I'm so glad that you're here. If you're new here, a huge welcome. If you're returning, a big welcome back. You can find me at various places on the internet down below. Best way to reach me is to send me a message on Ravelry or on Instagram, or send me a message in either of those places and get added to our podcast Discord group. We're having a lot of fun in there, talking about just what we're working on, little things going on in our lives, all that kind of stuff. It has been a really lovely, wonderful little community that we're building over in that space. So if you're interested in that, go check that out. Let me know. I will get you added. So sorry about the glare on my glasses today. I need my glasses to see. And I've tried several different setups. We're trying something new today. And the glare is real, but, seeing is also really cool. So just so you know, sorry about that. As the sun moves across the window, that may change for the better or worse. I'm not sure. Okay, a couple of other things. If you are newer here, I am the host of the Giant Mini Mal 2026. This is my third year hosting that. It is hosted over on Ravelry. There's a chatter thread. There's a finished object thread. I draw for prizes quarterly. This year we're just doing pattern prizes. And there are already so many of you participating. There are so many finished objects. I've been so inspired. So even if you're just looking for ideas on using your mini skeins, your leftovers, your scraps, head over there and check out all of the cool projects. And I'm also doing the super duper loosey goosey sweater mal, where I will just randomly pop in a few times throughout the year and draw a prize. Again, pattern prize. Basically just garments, sweaters, whatever. It's loose. It's just chatter, just to encourage each other to continue to work on those garment projects on our needles. So that's what's going on over there. Last little admin thing. Last episode, I did a 500 subscriber celebration giveaway, and I will pop the winner in somewhere over here. So congratulations to you. If you can send me a message, preferably if you're on Ravelry, send me a message over there. Let me know what pattern you would like, valued at 10 or fewer US dollars. Or if Ravelry is not accessible to you, send me a message over on Instagram or something, and we will figure out how to get a prize for you from a different platform. I think that's all of the admin things. We are already in the middle of February. I don't even understand how this is happening. Let's just jump right in. I have quite a bit to talk about. I have a couple of new cast-ons. I have blanket progress to share. I have another WIP that I didn't intend to work on that got worked on. And lots of books to chat about too. So let's just jump in. What am I wearing? This is my Cinnabar by Rachael of Maven Crafted, and I chose to wear this today because, one, the yarn, which is Solstice Fiber Studio on, I think, their classic worsted base. I don't think it's a base they have anymore, in the colorway Bloom. Obviously, very pink, very Valentine's. Tomorrow's Valentine's Day, so I felt it was appropriate. Like, look at my little truck with hearts. Boop. Earrings. I'm ready. I love Valentine's Day. I think it's just super fun. I don't know. It's a great way to just it's just joy. I just like everything that has joy. It's just fun. So I thought it was appropriate for that. And also, I did not do an Olympics cast on this year, but I remember during the last Summer Olympics, the 2024 Summer Olympics, I had cast on a shawl and I finished it really quickly. And then I worked on this sweater. And I remember working on this sweater while watching the Summer Olympics. So with it being the Winter Olympics, I thought that this was also appropriate. So the Cinnabar sweater has a bunch of different modification options. I think there's 3 body lengths. I did the cropped length. I'm not going to stand up and show you today. But I did a cropped length, and then there's a couple of sleeve options, and I did the bell sleeves because I thought that would be fun. And then behind me, we're trying something new. That's my TV, but I thought just having a black TV behind me was kind of ugly, and my habitation throw would be prettier instead. So I knit this, gosh, I don't know, maybe 4 or 5 years ago now. And it is mostly an advent by Hannah Made It, who doesn't die anymore. And, what was the movie? It was Princess Bride themed. And there are a couple of minis that were also hers that I threw in. I don't think you can even see them in this shot. That, I had started it with, and then I finished it off with that advent. So that's what's behind me. And then I have Rosebud, my emotional support chicken, over here, and Cooper, who is my little fox, over there, and we are ready to roll. I think those are all the what I'm wearing or have behind me or whatever things. So let's jump in. My first cast on, February 1st. It is the year of casting on a garment of some kind on the 1st of every single month. That's one of my 2026 goals. And I cast on number 58, Argyle Cardigan by Karen King Garlinghouse. And this is in the book 60 More Quick Baby Knits. So that is the photo in the book. Obviously, this is not for me. I will probably just be donating this cardigan to an organization that the library I work at partners with to give kids across the county and adults, people in need, warm, cozy, handmade, wintry things. So hopefully I will be able to donate this at the end of the year, provided that I actually finish it by then. So I cast this on February 1st of 2026. I am using size US 5 needles and US 3 needles, so respectively 3.75 millimeters and 3.25 millimeters. And the yarn I'm using is Stylecraft DK. And this project is living in this bag because you may notice these guys were in Cooper over here. Ooh, this is like, I'm not used to filming like this. Cooper over here used these. These are leftover from him. I think I have more of each color left over from him. And then I don't have any idea what I used this brown on or what I have no clue where this came from. I mean, I do know where it came from, but I don't know what I used it for or had intended to use it for. I don't really know. So this is the color Walnut. And then Cooper's colors are copper and cream. So let me show you what I have done on it so far, which is this little bit of ribbing. Nothing super exciting at this point. That's as far as I got. A little bit of 2x2 ribbing. I think this is for the back panel. It is knit in pieces and then seamed, which is fine. Not a big deal. This is just something, like I said, to use up some leftovers and hopefully donate. I chose these colors because it was what I had in my stash, and they are also Cleveland Browns colors. And since we are in Cleveland Browns territory, and that is the home team, I figured this would work as just a nice autumnal palette or for someone who had a football-loving family. So that is cast on number 1, project number 1 I'm going to chat about today. And I just think it's really sweet I think this is Intarsia. I have done some Intarsia. Cooper over here is Intarsia. Do I have a lot of experience with Intarsia? No. But I would really like to improve my Intarsia skills. There are so many cool patterns that I want to do and then see that they're Intarsia and get a little bit intimidated. So a project like this where, you know, it's for a baby. If it's not perfect, it's fine. Is a great opportunity to practice. So I'm excited to work on that more at some point. Okay, my next project I'll talk about. I'm a little discombobulated. I usually have my things in front of me and they're kind of behind and off to the side. Nope. I'm grabbing all of the note cards except the one I need, and now I've got it. So my next one was my other new cast on. And if you were watching last week, I was going back and forth on whether or not I was going to do the game day mystery make along from Marley Bird, or if I was going to sit it out this year. And I thought I had not done it last year, but it turns out that I did. And I think that means ever since the year I found out about it, well, not the year I found out about it, because I found out about it like literally on that day and did not have access to knitting stuff that particular day. But since the following year, when I like actually really knew about it, which was, I don't know, 5 or 6 years ago now, 5 years ago. No, more than that. I don't know. It's been a long time. I have done this every year. And I thought, okay, I'm going to look in my stash and see what I have. And I didn't really have anything that was going to work in the yardage that she sort of prescribed. I couldn't find an accurate yardage listed anywhere for the knit version. So I was like, oh, maybe I just won't do it. But that's kind of a bummer, but oh well. And my yarn fairy friend, you know who you are, she messaged me and was like, hey, I have yarn that would work for this. I'm going to come bring you a bunch of combos and you pick which one you want. And so I was able to do it. I did not finish it, and we'll talk about why here in a second. But let me show you. So I cast this on February 8th, 2026. I used US size 10 6mm needles. The size made, it's just a one size fits most or fits all. And these were my yarns. So Studio Classic by Nicole. Both of these are worsted weight. I know this one's 100% acrylic in the colorway Violet Mix. And then this one is Lion Brand Shawl in a Ball. And it's got this sparkle. Can you see that? And the colorway is Prism. Okay, so I'm obsessed with these colors. I love them. I love them. Absolutely love them. And I guess I should explain, in case you're not familiar, the Game Day Mystery Make Along by Marley Bird. She has it over on her blog. I'll link that down below. And it's every year on Super Bowl Sunday. And how it works is she'll tell you, like, in my opinion, with not quite enough time beforehand, especially now that Joann's is no more and a lot of us don't have as easy access to in-person yarn shopping anymore. But she'll tell you, you'll sign up, you'll get like a supply list. She'll tell you what you need maybe a week or so in advance, and you can get your yarn and stuff together. And then that day, I believe starting at 9 a.m. Eastern time, I don't know if it's always been 9 or if that's what it was this year, she releases a clue. And I think some years we've gotten a clue every hour. This year, it was every other hour. Maybe it's always every other hour, but I think some years it's every hour. Anyway, it doesn't matter. Leading up to the Super Bowl, which if you are not in the United States and don't know what that is, or if you somehow are in the United States, and I don't know how you don't know what it is if you live in the US. Basically, it's like the American football championship game. And even those of us who are not necessarily into football tune in for the commercials and the halftime show and the snacks. I'm here for the snacks. And anyways, so leading up to the big game, you get a clue every hour or 2 hours, and you don't know what you're making. She'll give you just a little hint. Like this year, I think it was a winter wearable accessory or something. I had really intended on finishing it that day, and you guys, I just couldn't. So I got all the way through clue 2, and I felt like this was a lot of knitting. So the 9 a.m. clue was just this like ribbed portion down here. And then the rest of this was the 11 a.m. clue. And I don't know, maybe I'm a slow knitter. That might be what it is. And that's okay. But also, though, look at these colors. They're so pretty. I love how this looks. Let me start with the pros. The pros, I adore my colors. I am obsessed with the way that this looks. I think it is stunning. It is beautiful. I enjoyed the colors immensely. Also, I love this texture, this like broken rib texture pattern. Love it. I love a broken rib. I think it's gorgeous. I adore it. The cons. And this is probably a me issue, but let me know below if this is something that you experience too. I know some people have trouble with like small needles on a small circumference knitting for a long time. That doesn't bother me at all. I am a fingering weight gal. I love lightweight yarns. The thinner the better. The tiny needles are great. I don't mind that at all. So this is 2 worsted weights, although I'm not so sure that the shawl in a ball is actually worsted. It says worsted on the tag, but that is pretty thin compared to this one. But whatever, it's fine. I don't mind. I think that this is just fine. You hold them double and you're knitting on size 10 needles. And I personally find that knitting acrylic, particularly worsted weight on larger needles, is really challenging on my hands and challenging on my forearms. I don't know if this is a me thing or more universal. I can go a little bit longer if I'm working with a wool on the same size needle, which we'll get to in a second. So I don't know. I reached a point where my hands were tired, my arms were tired, my elbows were tired. And I looked at clue 3 and I thought, I can't do it today. I don't want to risk an injury that's going to put me out of knitting for even longer. Also, I had food to prep and stuff. And like, I just was like, you know what? I can't. Maybe I'll work on it more during the big game. And then I did not work on it more, which is fine. Totally fine. I am really excited to pick this back up and continue working on it. I think it's gorgeous. I am not going to spoil for anybody, which I guess I should have spoilered. But like, if you heard me talking about it, I talked about this for quite a while before I showed it. I won't say what it's going to be. I have not looked at the final product. I really want to avoid spoilers as far as actually seeing it, but I did hear what it is. And it's something I actually don't have in my wardrobe that living in a cold climate will be very, very handy. So probably would have been handier a few weeks ago when temps here were sub-zero, but you know, next week it's going to be in the 50s Fahrenheit most of the week. But I'm not complaining. I am not complaining. I'm so excited to get outside and not have like the cold hurt my face and not have ice everywhere. I don't really actually mind the cold that much. It's more, I don't want to go out for a walk if it's icy, and it is like always icy. So very, very excited to be able to get outside next week and maybe take a few walks and stuff. But there we go. That is my game day mystery make along. Obsessed with these colors. So excited to have it. But it is a project that I think for me is just not possible to be knit in a day right now. And that's okay. So moving to the next thing, and this is a project that played into probably a little bit of why I tired out on that one, which I also knit on that while watching the Olympics. So it wasn't an Olympics cast on, but Olympic memories will be in there. So much figure skating. Story time. This whole podcast is story time. The needles for that. In my usual Courtney way of prepping for cast-ons, I wing it. I am a wing it person. That's what I do with knitting stuff. Everything else in my life, I'm pretty planned, but knitting, I kind of wing it. So I woke up game day morning and I'm like, all right, I will go grab my yarn. I will grab my needles. I'm going to get them ready so that they're all ready to go at 9 o'clock. It's like, I don't know, 7 o'clock at this point in the morning. And I have a like hanging needle holder thingy that holds all my circulars. And I did not have the correct needles. And I thought, okay, well, let's see, maybe they're in another project. So I go through my projects on Ravelry and I'm just looking through WIPs to see what else uses a US size 10. And I was like, oh, I bet this is it. And sure enough, they were in my love note. So I looked at the clock and I looked at my love note and I thought, all right, I have time. I have 2 hours before this starts. I will just knit to the point that I need to switch to a larger cord. And then I will put these on interchangeables on a larger cord and reclaim my 10 size US 10 16-inch circle. No big deal, right? Big deal. So it took me basically, by the time I figured out what I was doing, where I was, I had my breakfast in there, like just, you know, it took me pretty much the couple of hours to get all switched out, but I did. And that also meant I got some work done on my love note. So not much, but I've got an Alice in Wonderland progress keeper there. It's the little drink me. I don't know if you can see that, probably not. But I got this, switched out onto larger needles, did several rows, started the lace portion, and that was my problem. So I had looked at the chart and counted it out and miscounted because, I don't know, I wasn't paying that close of attention. I was busy watching Olympic coverage and did the whole lace first row wrong, got to the end of the round and realized I did not have the correct number of stitches at the end and that I had done the whole thing wrong. And so by then it was 9 o'clock. I was supposed to be starting my game day thing, but I was like, no, I need to go back and tink back this whole round, which is like mohair, because I was like, I don't want to let that sit, and I won't remember that I did it wrong because who knows when I will pick this up next. So I tinked back that full round and then started the lace pattern again to get it established and stopped mid-round and picked up my game day make-along. So this is obviously also knit on size US 10 needles. Let me grab my little card here. So this is the Love Note by Tin Can Knits, and I am making the size large. And the yarn is Tina's Twisted Fibers in the colorway Butterfly Wings, which is left over from a cardigan I knit, years ago. It was, I think, my 2021 birthday cast on or something. And then I am holding it double with Drops Kid Silk Mohair. I don't have this written down, and I should, in the colorway Lavender, I think. And at some point, I will probably run out of that, and I will just switch to Knit Picks Aloft in the colorway something. I don't remember what that one is. I want to say Ambrosia, but that doesn't sound right. I have a Knit Picks one that is extremely similar. I don't think you'll really be able to tell a difference. And if you can, I don't care. It's just a sweater, top to use up leftovers. So that's all I have on this, but I didn't anticipate working on it, and I did. So that's kind of fun. Okay, let's move on to my final work in progress, which is the thing that I keep putting the most time into, and that is my Learn to Knit a Log Cabin Blanket by Staci Perry. I am going to pop a picture in somewhere here that I took this morning. These pictures are so motivating when I lay out all of the squares that I have completed total and basically watch the blanket fill in. So I'll pop that on the screen so you can see it while I chat about it. So I cast this on at some point in either late 2019, early 2020. It was definitely pre-COVID cast on. I am using size US 7 needles. I am making a 5 square by 5 square blanket. My hope is we currently have a full bed. At some point we will be upgrading to a queen. But my hope is that it will go on our bed, at least our current bed. I don't know if at whatever point we upgrade, if that will continue to fit, but it doesn't matter. We're just getting this done. And I am using various worsted weight acrylic yarn, leftover scraps, rescue yarn, things like that. So let me show you, I'll show you the 3 new additions, and I don't remember what order I finished these in. So one of these was the in progress square last time, and then I knit the other 2. So I have this one, and these are, it's not catching it great on, oh, there you go. You can see these are 2 different yellows. This is really, it's more evident in real life. This is a butter yellow, and this is more of like a goldenrod. So there's that square. Also, can you see all of the fuzzies? We washed and dried these last night. I had gotten the ends woven in and finally got around to doing that. And there is so much static. It is crazy. And it's interesting because they're all different yarns, just to see how they wash, and they all wash a little bit differently. And then there's this one. I think this was the square I was working on last time. I really like this one. All the cool colors, the purples, the blues, the greens. And again, these are 2 different. Are they different? Yes, they are. These are 2 different tans, which again is more evident when they're next to each other. It's a lot more evident in real life than on the camera. And then this one, which was the last one I completed. And then my square that is in progress is this one. So I am enjoying this project more. Every time I think I'm getting really burnt out, I go back and look at the picture because I've been taking one every time I podcast, of all the squares laid out. And it's so motivating to me to like flip through those and watch it fill in. But yeah, this is my big Q1 project. This is most of what I am spending my knitting time working on. And again, it's acrylic worsted weight yarn, which these are on a size 7 needle instead of a size 10. So it's a little bit easier on my hands. Obviously, I'm not holding it double, but it still isn't something that I'm going to marathon knit necessarily. And that's okay. I've had a lot of other things that we've been trying to do, just little cleaning things and things around the house. I read a lot as well. I cook a lot. I don't talk much about that on here. But we cook and bake and all the things all the time. So I have a lot of things that I'm doing. And so it's okay. This is a slow project. I've talked before about how each square averages close to 100 grams, somewhere between 90 and 100 grams usually. So a lot of yarn being used. And when you consider like a 100 gram skein of worsted weight yarn, that's a lot of knitting. So anyways, that is my progress, which means including the square I'm currently working on, I only need a total of 7 more squares and I can start joining and putting the borders on and all of that. I don't think I'm going to finish the squares by the end of February, and that's okay. I figured out, even if I only do 1 square a week for the rest of, like 1 square a week, as long as I finish that current square this week, I would still be able, theoretically, to have this done by the end of March. So knowing that is really nice. It's really freeing. I would still like to have this done earlier. I would really like to have those squares done quite a bit earlier, just because I know the border and the piecing is going to take longer and it's probably going to be something that has to be done at home. Which it brings me kind of to another thing. I do the majority of my knitting on the go. If you've been around, I work full time. And that's part of it too, is this right now is a mostly portable project for me. And winter is a little bit different. We have a beautiful, lovely patio at work where I love to go on my lunch breaks, on my 15-minute breaks and things. And right now, there is still snow everywhere and has been for months. So that is not an option. And our break room at work is very small. In case you didn't notice, I am a little bit of a chatterbox, just a touch. And a lot of people come in and chat with me, and I, most of the time, really love that. There's no issue with that. But it's just a different season. It limits what I can take with me. I have to have something that I don't have to think too much about because, quite frankly, I usually end up chatting away for most of my break. And I'm enjoying this knit at work too because I can lay my book out flat most of the time and read and knit at the same time, which is letting me do so much more reading. And I think that's where we're going to segue. So if you were just here for the knitting, thank you for joining me, and I'll catch you next time. If you are here for the reading and the life and the pockets of delight and all of that jazz, let's go. So reading. Wow. I have finished 12 books so far this year, which is wild. I did not intend to. I don't know. I don't know what is happening. My reading mojo has skyrocketed. Now, historically, like every single year, March is it is always, without fail. I don't know what it is. March is always my lowest reading month of the year, every single year. Doesn't matter if it's a year I'm mostly doing audio or mostly doing print or doing 50-50. It doesn't matter. So knowing that, I'm ahead, but I'm really probably not ahead because March will come and for some reason I will no longer be able to read. I don't know. I don't know if it's that, which I can already feel it a little bit. I don't know if it's coming out of winter, and especially this winter has been pretty harsh for us. So I've been inside at home doing all of my cozy hobbies, which I love, but I also have felt myself over the last week or so really starting to get restless, really wanting to be able to go outside, really wanting to, longing for my spring and summer hobbies. We love to birdwatch. We love to, one thing that we got into a couple of years ago is wildflower identification. We like to go hiking. We have beautiful metro parks near me. And, we love going to state parks and exploring and all of that. And I'm starting to get that itch. There's starting to be just the slightest hint of spring in the air. Like I said, we're not there. We will have many a false spring leading up to real spring. But I think that might have something to do with why my reading mojo tanks. And then last March was incredibly difficult for me. If you were around last year, you know that we lost my grandpa in March. And then I got super duper sick with like some kind of awful respiratory horribleness. I had one of the worst migraines I've had in years. Like last March was just horrific. So I think I read like one book last March or something, if even that. So we will see. I would imagine that this March will be a better one, but I can already feel the reading mojo starting to slip. All right, that was a really long-winded way of saying I have finished a lot of books. I'm really proud of myself. I don't anticipate this pace continuing. Okay, so I have my little handy dandy reading journal, and there are, I think, 6 books I finished, 7 maybe, plus ones I've started that I haven't finished. So I am just going to go in the order that they are in my journal, which is not necessarily the order in which they were finished. Okay, first up, Listen for the Lie by Amy Tintera. I started this one January 5th, 2026, finished it February 4th, 2026. Why did it take me so long? Well, I'll tell you why. I listened to this one on a CD audiobook. And Mason and I, if you're new here, we share a car. So we spend a ton of time in the car together commuting. So that was mainly when we were listening to this, was just in those commuting spurts. And we don't listen to an audiobook if the weather is really bad, which was a lot of the last month. So anyways, took a while to finish. First, maybe my first, I don't know. It depends on how we're counting this. 5 stars. 5 stars. Oh my goodness. It was so good. If you like thrillers, this is for you. I would highly recommend doing the audiobook instead of the print version for this one. It was one of the best produced audiobooks I have ever listened to. It follows a woman named Lucy, and basically the book sets out to answer the question, did Lucy kill her best friend Savvy? And if she didn't, then who did? And so Lucy returns to her small town of Plumpton, Texas, prompted by her grandmother, who kind of coerces her into coming under not exactly false pretenses, but definitely uses a grandma guilt trip to get her there. And once she's there, she realizes that Ben, this podcaster who has been doing a podcast about her and the murder of her best friend, has also been invited by her grandmother. And Ben is coming in pretty unbiased, really just trying to get down to the studs of who did this, why, was it Lucy? He doesn't really think it is. So you get, on the audio, you get like a regular portion of story, and then it'll go to like a podcast interview, and then a regular portion of story, and then it goes to a podcast interview. It is so good. It kept me guessing right to the end. The characters were great. The female portion is narrated by January Lavoie, who is one of my favorite audiobook narrators. I just love her. She does a great job. Really liked it. If you like books with small town secrets and an admittedly unreliable narrator, because Lucy doesn't remember. She doesn't remember anything about the night that Savvy was killed. She sustained a head injury, and so she does not know if she killed Savvy or not. Really, really a great twisty thriller, interesting characters. I don't know how many theories over the course of the book. It was so good. So 5 stars. If you are a thriller lover, add it to your list ASAP. I don't think Amy Tintera has written anything else, which is kind of a bummer, but I hope she writes more. Next up, Ask for Andrea by Nicole W. Illy. I don't know how to pronounce her name. What I do know is she is coming as one of the headlining authors to the big Ohio Book Con, which I will be going to. I am so excited. And I cannot wait to see her. And I still need to buy my tickets. But if you are local, the big Ohio Book Con is put on by Black Cat Books in Medina, Ohio. I believe it's at the fairgrounds, the Medina County Fairgrounds, I think. All I know is I didn't go last year, and then I heard about it from so many patrons and was super disappointed that I didn't go. I'm going this year. I cannot wait to see Noelle in person because this was another 5-star read. Oh my goodness. So this was considered a horror thriller. I don't know that I would consider it horror, but I get why it was categorized that way. So this one I read in print. It was 288 pages, copyright 2022. So basically 3 victims of this alluring serial killer. And I believe this is kind of very loosely based on Ted Bundy and some of his victims. Basically, they set out to bring him down and to save his family from beyond the grave. So it's 3 women, 3 young women, and you meet them all after I think all of them, maybe one you meet before she's killed, but the other 2 you meet after they've been killed. And basically they're kind of ghosts, but not exactly. You've got to suspend belief a little bit. And they are basically haunting this guy and trying to stop him from committing more murders and trying to save his wife and 2 daughters from him and get them somewhere safe. It was really good. I was a little unsure at first whether or not I would like it, but I absolutely loved it. I loved how victim-centered it was. I loved that it was a totally different take on your typical thriller, your typical serial killer kind of book. I love that it gave the victim some agency and dignity back. It was very satisfying. I felt totally immersed in it. Could not put it down. 10 out of 10, 5 stars. Absolutely would recommend. Which I think, does that lead me to my next book? Next up, I took a very different turn and read a children's book. This children's nonfiction, Celtic Myths, Meet the Gods, Creatures, and Heroes of Celtic Legend by Martin McIntyre. And this one was nonfiction, mythology, history. I started it January 31st and finished it February 1st. I did this one in print, although I looked to see if my library had it on Libby audio, and they did not. I'll get to why in a second. I rated it 4.75 stars. It was 144 pages, copyright 2025. I didn't really know there were Celtic myths. I saw this come through at work, and I was intrigued. I'm not a big mythology person. I don't know the Greek myths or any of that. Not a huge mythology person, but I would love to learn more. And I thought, well, this is interesting. I'm partially of Celtic descent. I thought that would be kind of an interesting thing to explore and look at. And I love kids' books for nonfiction topics because if you're jumping in and you don't know anything, it assumes that you don't know anything, and it explains it in a simple way so that you grasp some just basic knowledge without getting too deep. So I love kids' nonfiction books for those kinds of purposes. This one was beautifully illustrated. It laid things out pretty simply. My only issue, which it had a pronunciation guide in the back, which was fantastic and super helpful for me when I'm reading a book. Knowing how something is spelled and pronounced makes a huge difference. Frequently, like if I'm talking to a friend or something and they bring up somebody's name or something, I'll ask them, wait, how's that spelled? Because it's just the way my brain works. I need a spelling. And these like Celtic names are spelled very differently from how they sound. And it kept having to refer to the pronunciation guide and say the names out loud. And finally I thought I would really like to read this in print, just like a kid's book, and have like a read along. But my library didn't carry the Libby version. But they had a great glossary, which was helpful, a great, like I said, pronunciation guide. Everything was kind of put into simple terms, and I enjoyed it. I would be interested in exploring more Celtic mythology in some maybe adult books. I'm sure that there was stuff that got left out, just based on what little I know of like Greek and Roman and Norse mythology, and how like the kid version is so sanitized. So I'm sure I only got like a little bit, but I don't know. It was a really interesting little way to dip my toe in. Next up, I read The Time Hop Coffee Shop by, I'm going to mess up this name probably, Phaedra Patrick. I'm not sure. That one was a magical realism, cozy kind of sci-fi fantasy book. I started it February 1st and finished it February 5th. I read it in print. I gave it 4.5 stars, and I think I might have rated it higher than it really deserved, but that's fine. It was about 320 pages long, and it was copyright 2025. So it follows this woman, Greta, who has reached middle age. She and her family used to star on these coffee commercials for, now I don't remember the name of the coffee in the book, but Maple something. And basically they were like kind of big stars. They were very well recognized from these commercials and like all this stuff. And then a few years ago, they had, the coffee company decided that they needed to modernize and go in a different direction with their commercials and stuff. But the commercials she and her family started were very idyllic, a cup of this coffee will just solve everything. Also, it sounds like it was instant coffee, so I'm highly unconvinced. And, it was just going to solve everything, and everything was perfect in these commercials. And her real life is kind of falling apart. She and her husband have separated. Her daughter's a teenager who thinks her mom is so cringe. And, Greta doesn't really have a career path now. She doesn't really know what she's doing. She's not getting auditions for anything anymore. And Maple Gold, is that what it was? I think it was Maple Gold. Anyway, basically, her life is not going the way that she wants it to. Nothing is going right, and she just is so stuck in the past. And one day, she gets this flyer to go to this address that promises a perfect blend. And she goes to this coffee shop, and there's an old woman working there named Iris who makes her a cup of coffee and tells her to make a wish after she gives her all these rules. And Greta is taken to a town called Mapleville, straight out of one of these coffee commercials. And I liked the book because it held up, basically it was about finding purpose and how nostalgia maybe isn't always as great as it seems. And, the choice on whether to live in the past or to be present in your real life and things like that. It was so cheesy at the beginning that I almost gave up. But it was really good. It was really good. Kind of predictable, but there were some things I didn't see coming. And it was just a nice little cozy read. Did I think it was the best thing of all time? No. Should I probably have rated it a full star lower than I did? Yes, but I don't know. I liked it. The cover was beautiful. The sprayed edges were gorgeous. I don't know. I thought it was good, but probably wasn't a 4.5-star read if I'm being honest, but I already rated it, so it's fine. It is what it is. Would I recommend it? Yeah, I would recommend it. Just know you've got to get past like the first 75 pages where you're like, oh my gosh. And I will say, I didn't like Greta very much. Even at the end of the book, I felt like she was kind of narcissistic and a little just like, girl, you were in coffee commercials. It is not like you were an A-list movie star. I don't know. Like, good for you, but move on. All right, next, I read Such Quiet Girls by, again, Noelle Ilhi. I don't know how to pronounce her name. I'll learn. When I go to the BookCon, I will learn. This was another crime mystery thriller. I started at February 5th and finished it February 7th. 5 stars. Copyright last year, 2025. And it's, again, based on a true story. And it's about this bus full of school children who are kidnapped and basically vanish into thin air. And it's multi-perspective. You get the bus driver's perspective, one of the girls on the bus's perspective, her mother's perspective, and one of the kidnappers' perspectives. It was really good, really well written, really well thought out. It was a hard read, especially at the beginning, because it involves kids and that, hits a chord that's, thrillers that don't. But it was very, very good, and I would recommend it. It was really great. It's based on, I think, the Chilhowie school bus kidnapping or something like that back in the 70s, but it's set in this is set in modern day. The way Noelle writes is just incredible. It's engaging. I don't know. I really, really enjoy it. Her books. So I would recommend it. Overall, it was a great story. I was cheering for the kids, partially cheering for the bus driver. It was a good one. And again, hit a lot of different themes. It was good. Next up, Dear Debbie by Frida McFadden. You guys know I love Frida. Are her books like the greatest written or whatever? No, but I like them for what they are. So this was another thriller, and I started it February 8th, finished it February 10th. Less than 36 hours, in case anybody wanted to know. And I worked the entire day of February 9th. So I read it in print, gave it 4 stars. It was about 336 pages, and it came out just a few weeks ago. So, all right. Basically, it's about Debbie. Shocker. And Debbie appears to be a pretty normal housewife. She's in a book club. She loves to garden. She has an accountant husband who's like obsessed with her. She has 2 teenage daughters, one of whom still thinks the world of her, and the other one just like can't even stand to hear her voice in the morning. Very typical. Avid gardener. She writes an advice column for her local newspaper. So just your average stay-at-home mother and housewife. But Debbie likes to solve problems, and Debbie solves problems in ways that are not always above board and are a little bit not great. And sometimes her problem solving actually leads to causing more problems. So you've got a little bit of an unreliable narrator here. You've got, it's kind of hard to describe because a lot happens in the book, but also nothing really happens in the book. I don't know. All of these problem solving, what did I write here, begins to slowly show the cracks in her picture perfect life. It was really well written for one of Frida's books. I thought it was one of her better written ones. If you read a lot of Frida and I have read a lot of Frida, I predicted every twist. And that was the bummer for me. I gave it 4 stars because it did keep me going. It kept me reading. I did like the characters. I liked the premise. It wasn't her best. It wasn't her best. And if you read, there's a couple of other ones that if you had already read them, you would definitely see these twists coming. If you have not read a lot of Frida, this would be a good one. If you have read a lot of Frida, it was good, okay, you know. But yeah, I liked it. Obviously, I read it in a very short time frame, and it was pretty good, but it wasn't. It was predictable for me. All right, the last 2 books we're going to chat about are the ones I'm currently reading, and yeah, so I know there's a lot. Thanks for sticking with me. Our new audiobook CD for the car is The Familiar by Lee Bardugo. I don't actually know how to pronounce that name either, but they, I'm actually not sure, will also be at BookCon. And what we've decided to do with our car audiobook leading up to BookCon is try to hit different authors that will be there, who we haven't read anything by before. So this is our first one into that foray. We started it February 4th, so just about a week ago. It's 12 hours and 57 minutes long, so this will take us a while. Copyright 2024, and it's a fantasy, historical fiction, magical realism kind of thing. And to be honest, we are not far enough in it that I can really even say what it's totally about. What I have gathered, it's set during the time of the Spanish Inquisition. There is this young woman, Lucia, who is a servant girl in the house of a kind of wealthy, but not really wealthy, just like a failing household kind of wealthy household. And she is Jewish, partially Jewish, or all, I'm not sure. But during the Spanish Inquisition, that was like not good. And, that was a group they were persecuting. And she has some kind of like magical, mystical knowledge. And so she does like little kitchen magic things. Like if they burn a loaf of bread, she'll like say a little something and wave her hand over it, and then it's not burnt anymore. That kind of thing. But her mistress finds out that she can do this and starts basically like, and again, I don't know. I feel like I might be missing things in this book. This probably would be one that would be better for me to actually print read, but we're doing it on audio and it's fine. But basically her mistress starts like basically treating her like a party trick and having her come to all these dinners and do these tricks and stuff. And this is not great because she can pass for non-Jewish, but she is Jewish. And there's some concern about her practicing this magic and stuff that she's going to be taken by an inquisitor and stuff. So I think that's what's going on so far, but we're not very far in. And then the last book, which I do have it. The book I'm currently reading is this one, Witches of Dubious Origin by Jen McKinley. I started this on February 11th. It is 358 pages long, copyright 2025, and I'm about 100 pages in. I'm enjoying it. It is about a woman named Zoe who's in her, I think, late 30s. Her mother was a witch, her grandmother was a witch, and she doesn't want to practice any kind of magic for reasons that I won't get into because I don't want to give any spoilers. But one day, this book shows up at her doorstep, in an envelope addressed to her in her deceased mother's handwriting, who she's been estranged from since she was like 14. And she can't get the book open. And that leads her to this museum and library where she is looking for answers on how to open the book and has to confront her past and her family's legacy and kind of decide what she's going to do. Is she going to keep her vow that she isn't going to practice any kind of magic, or is she going to use her magical legacy to help others? So, or that's, again, as far as I've gotten, I'm not sure if that's really what this is going to end up being about or not. But I'm enjoying it. It's nice. It is another like cozy fantasy book. Anything where they're in a library, in case we haven't noticed, a library or a coffee shop or a bookstore, those settings, I will read it. I love that. So anyways, that's what I'm currently reading. It was recommended to me by a friend who has similar cozy fantasy tastes to me. Whew, that was a lot. That's what I've been reading. Okay, let's keep it moving. Life stuff. I don't think I have any life stuff, honestly. We have moved into up and down weather, which has kind of wreaked some havoc on my body. I've had a couple migraines over the past couple of weeks, which has not been super fun. And yeah, but the sun is shining today. Like I said, the one day it was 50 degrees, which was such a treat. We have several 50-degree days coming up. That's really exciting. Basically, things are thawing. The sun is shining. Which is really, really nice. I typically love winter, and even I am pretty over this winter. It's been especially harsh here. I don't think there's a whole lot else life-wise. We had plans last weekend that all got canceled, which was fine. I love a canceled plan. And tomorrow's Valentine's Day. I don't think we have any plans other than I work all day. So usually our Valentine's Day tradition is we eat something, obviously, have dinner, whatever. Sometimes we get takeout. We'll probably get pizza. And we play Scrabble and talk about time travel. That is our Valentine's Day thing that we do. And I know that's not conventional, but it is a lot of fun. So anyway, that's all I've got upcoming. I think, I don't know. Pokemon Day is February 27th. So that's exciting. But that'll be a day of podcast. So you'll hear about that. And yeah, I think that's about it. Pocket of Delight. I don't think I have a prepared Pocket of Delight today. Let me think for a second. I do have a Pocket of Delight. This is like such a tiny thing, but it was so exciting. We have a staff winter reading game at work where basically we just enter the titles that we are reading, and then winners are drawn every week and you win a candy bar. And I won this week, and that was really exciting. So there we go. I earned a chocolate bar for my reading, and that was a little Pocket of Delight. And I don't know, I got a really encouraging note from my branch manager in my mailbox this week that came on a day that I had really been having, I had a very rough week at work. Not this past week, but the week before was very, very rough. And it made me feel really good to get that note of appreciation and made me feel seen. So those are my little pockets of delight. And I think we need to wrap this up. So this is a long one. This is a chatty one. Thanks for sticking with me. I hope that over the next couple of weeks, you find some time to knit or crochet or embroider or sing or dance or, take up one of these Winter Olympic sports or something in your little corner of paradise. And I will be over here just knitting away in my little corner of Paradise. I'll see you next time, friends. Bye.